By far, the biggest misconception is we get a lot of people, even officers that work with us. They just don't know, and it's not their fault. But we get there, and they're like, "Oh, do you need an article of clothing that person had on?"
We see that on TV all the time.
Yeah, right. The commercials back when I was a kid, the bloodhound, here, sniff this sock, and the bloodhound goes and finds the person that was wearing that sock. That's just not how our dogs are trained to do business. I'm sure that is a manner in which some people do train their dogs, but that's not how ours are trained to do business, because a bad guy doesn't always leave behind an article of clothing or whatever for us to sniff at the scene and then go find them. So yeah, that's probably the biggest misconception.
So it's not quite like TV.
Yeah, not quite like TV.
This season on NSK9, we've explored lots of different jobs and reasons to train your dog. Well, today on NSK9, it's the police canine unit.
I've been a police officer myself for about 17 years now. I started with Calgary Police Service, and in May 2004, I switched over to Halifax Regional Police, which is where I'm currently employed. I've been working there for 16 years now.
And how did you develop an interest in the canine side of things?
Well, that all started when I was the first year on the job with Calgary. I was brand new, fresh on the street, and we had a call of, I believe it was teenagers breaking into cars or breaking into a house. I don't recall exactly what it was. I just remember the dog team there in Calgary coming out, and I was amazed to see that dog track the scent of where people had gone, and we ended up catching them hiding under cars in a junkyard setting. So, and I was like, that is something I definitely want to pursue in my career, just to be able to work with dogs. Our dogs are all German Shepherds, purebred German Shepherds, and they all have very, very high drive, prey drive, toy drive, and that's what we look for. But we also want to balance that with a friendly dog too. We want the dog to be able to do its job when it needs to, but we also want to be able to take it out into the community and be able to do community relations work with the dog, show demos, and have people be able to interact and be around our dogs. This is my first dog. Generally, when you get into the canine section, the rule of thumb is that you'll end up working 2 dogs primarily. Your first dog, we usually work them for 7 to 8 years before we retire them. And then when you move on to your second dog, another 7 or 8 years, you gain a lot of experience working with your first dog. Huge knowledge base coming in at you when you're training the dogs, because we learn as they're learning. Where our unit has 2 designated trainers in the unit, and they take us and our dog, who has no training, and we start out in the Elmsdale fields, sod fields, and we start teaching our dogs how to track, and then obedience as well. And it's just a huge learning curve for us and the dog at the same time, which helps also grow our bond with the dog. When we first get the dogs, they have absolutely no training. They don't know how to sit. They've been bred to be a police dog or search and rescue dog or whatever we want, a line of work you want to put them in. They have that drive. We bring them, they have no training. And the first thing we do when we bring them home is we have a week-long bonding stage with them. So they come home to my house. We have an area set up for them on our property with a kennel, a run, and a canine condo, which is basically a dog house that's insulated and it's really comfortable for them. And that's basically where they spend all their time when we're first doing the bonding stage, except for when you take them out to run them in a field for exercise and play with them and have fun and continue growing that bond. I'm the only one that feeds the dog, the only one that rewards the dog with any treats or anything like that. And that just keeps our bond strong. She's a female, Casey. She knows that nobody else is going to give her any treats. Like, it's only me, and that keeps her focus and her attention on me, and that bond will grow throughout the entire course of the training. So this is where she'll come if I'm ever going out of the house and I can't be around to supervise her. She comes out here, and I bring her out and I put her in her kennel. It's a 6 by 12 foot space with her canine condo. That's an insulated dog house, basically. And this is where she stays. Kennel, come on. So yeah, so this is the canine condo, and sit. I'll tell her to sit. It's got just got the flat door there, so when she goes in, it closes behind her. Keeps her body heat in there. You can see the straw here all around. It's got straw inside of it. It's insulated all the way around on top. Are you going to go in? No? Here, kill. Yeah, she'll pop right back out, I'm sure, yeah. So every now and again, my kids, I have a 12-year-old son and an 11-year-old daughter, and once in a while they'll get into giving her sit commands and have a treat in their hand and stuff. And this is only new within this past year, and she'll listen to them once in a while. But mostly, if I tell her not to listen to them, she doesn't listen to them. So that's a good, I test her every now and again with that, make sure that I still have that. They're all trained as general service dogs. All our police dogs are trained as general service dogs. So what that means to us is that they're trained for tracking, criminal apprehension, article or evidence searching, building searching, and then their obedience. So their sits, their downs, their stays, their healing, and all that stuff. And then from there, after they've been working as a general service dog for a year, we bring them back into the training environment and teach them their specialty profile, as we call it. In our department, we have 2 specialty profiles, one being narcotics detection, and the other one's an explosive detection dog.
You can actually tell a lot from a dog's tail position. A loose wagging tail can mean that your dog is relaxed and content, whereas increased tail wagging, along with any hip movements, can mean that your dog is happy or excited to see you. A straight up tail can mean that your dog is confident, or we can even see it in times where a dog may be showing signs of aggression. In contrast, a tucked down tail or a curled tail between the legs can mean that your dog is fearful or even stressed.
Solid, down.
These dogs are brand new to drug searching, yes. They've been working patrol for a year, and that's usually the process we'll follow. They do a general duty profile, so they can do everything else we need them to do as police dogs, but they don't do a specialty profile, which is drug searching or explosive searching. What's going on here today is we're teaching some of our dogs a new profile, which is drug searching. And the way that we do that is through odor recognition. So through positive reinforcement, we teach our dogs that we want them to find a very specific odor. And today, they're being trained to search for heroin. That odor and the process of odor recognition gets them paid, and it's positive reinforcement through food. It's the process of having the dogs actually make a decision themselves to find the target that gets them paid, as opposed to us showing or trying to lead them towards a target.
The physical standard test that you have to pass first is a 4-mile run in under 32 minutes. It's a pretty good pace. A lot of people tend to drop out at the 3-mile mark, and then the same day you run that test, you have to do what they call a canine pair test. So it's similar to the pair test to get into the police department, but it's a bit longer, and there's a bit more components like weight drags and putting weight over a fence and jumping over the fence as well, and it's longer in duration. So you have 9 minutes to complete 8 laps, and then a push-pull component at the end of that test. And once you pass that test, you move on to the next stage, which would be the following day. It's a week-long process. The following day, you do a suitability test. So basically, you go out and you work with the current handlers and their dogs, and you lay tracks for them. You take bites, and they want you to motivate an inanimate object to try to get. Basically, they want you to motivate an inanimate object to, like you would a dog, to get it to do a task that you want it to do. So that kind of tests your suitability, whether or not you're good for working with dogs. Not everybody passes that test because, like, some people don't have a personality that is going to work well with these dogs. And after you are successful with that part, we do a firearms test that's similar, or that would go along and work well with like what our job is doing. You're running, your heart rate's up. You might be nervous or exhausted at the end of a track, and now you need to be able to proficiently shoot a firearm and make sure that you hit your target and are capable of doing that. And then we move on to an interview stage, where it consists of a board interview. So you have a management team sitting on the board, the sergeant who's in charge of the K9 section, and someone from our human resources section. I'll sit on the board and they ask you competency-based interview questions. Tell us a time when you were successful at doing this, or tell us a time when you weren't successful and what did you do to change it, kind of thing. And based on that interview, if you're successful, if you have 5 applicants that are successful at the end of it, whoever got the top marks ends up being awarded the dog. The most difficult part is the operational, I'll call it failure rate. It's not so much a failure, but when it's frustrating and stressful when we get dispatched to a call and you get on scene and all eyes are on you because you just had the break and enter or the assault or worse, a stabbing or some high priority crime, and everyone's looking at you and you as the dog team and saying, the bad guys ran that way. And now they're expecting you to track them and find them and conclude the file by catching the bad guys. And a lot of times that doesn't happen because of environmental circumstances at the time, or misinformed information. We get on scene and we have 2 or 3 witnesses that might be saying, yeah, the person ran that way, when in fact they didn't run that way, they went a different way, or the information was just incorrect. And we'll go looking for a track and never find a track. Or we can find a track and we have a track that goes 100, 200 meters across a road, through some backyards, out onto another road, and then poof, it's like magical, it's gone. Did they get picked up in a car? We'll never know. Did they get into a house, picked up by a buddy? Did they walk down the middle of the street and a car drove over it and destroyed the track? We'll just never know. And that's the frustrating, difficult part of this job.
Halifax Regional Police K9, you are under arrest. Call out to me now. Halifax Regional Police K9, you're under arrest for break and enter. Call out to me now or I will send my dog. and my dog will bite you. Regional Police K9, last warning, call out to me now or I'll send the dog and you will be bit. You're under arrest. Stay. Good boy. Suspect! You're under arrest! I want you to stop resisting! Are you going to stop resisting? Get down on the ground and I will comply! Gasco, out! Heel! Down. Stay. Somebody want to go in there and make that arrest? Stay.
Move, the dog come back in.
Stay. Leave it.
Your hands behind your back, do it now. Do it now.
Stay.
Under arrest.
Spayed dogs can go through heat, but it's very rare. So a heat is formed when hormones are produced from the ovaries, but because the spaying procedure removes the ovaries, a very specific instance has to occur in which a little bit of the cells, just a few of the cells are left after the spay from the ovary. They produce hormones, and months to years later they can have a heat, but for the vast majority of cases, a spayed dog will never go into heat again.
Police K9, you're under arrest. Don't move. Stay. Watch that guy. Watch that guy. Hang him up. Is that good girl? Oh, girl, you all good here? Told you you're under arrest. You ran anyway. Oh, girl. Casey, out! Down! Good. Good girl, you watch him. You watch him. Bad guy, if you can get up and start walking that way, slowly. You're under arrest. Don't try to run again or I'll send my dog. Good girl. Oh, he's running again. Hang him up. Oh, good. Good girl. Silly suit guy. Some of them hear the dog bark from within the truck, and they'll give up. I've had moments where someone was hiding very close by, and the dog comes out barking, and they're like, well, they come out from the hiding spot and go, okay, I'm right here, I'm right here.
We think of bite, it is almost like a hold, isn't it, that they're trained for?
Yep. So yeah, we try to train our dogs to bite and hold. We don't want them to be chompy because that causes more injury.
Yeah.
If they bite and hold, that's one bite, one injury. It's a level of force. Yeah. Our police dogs are a level of force similar to a taser. If we had to tase someone, that when the taser stops, it's turned off and that force is stopped. Same with the dog bite. Dog bites. When we tell them to out, they out, and the force is over.
Casey!
Out! Heel! Woo! Ha ha! So I gotta be funner than the bad guy was. Woo! Good dog! Yes, good girl!
They play their game and they get the reward, which is 9 times out of 10 going to be a toy of some sort that we play with them, and we play like we whoop it up, like we play like we just won the Stanley Cup, and we spin the dogs around, and they love it.
Boy, good dog! Oh my goodness!
When she was in the early stages of her training, and we were learning how to do building searches. So basically, she's going into a building that someone's hiding in. It's a vacant building. We have buildings we train in, but this vacant building, someone's hiding there, and she's being taught to go find where this person's hiding. So she was getting pretty good at it. She was really, that we bring that drive, the game way up high, so she's very eager to go find her reward, which is going to be the person hiding. And when we come home at the end of the day, one time, my wife was in a room behind a closed door, and Casey came in the house and was sniffing the door, like, oh, I just found my reward. And I had to yell, do not open that door, because it could have been bad if my wife had opened the door. I'm sure Casey would have grabbed onto her, and it wouldn't have been very good at all. But it was very amusing at the time. It's very different bringing her home now, 4 years after I've gotten her, to when I first got her. When I first got her, she was always outdoors. She never interacted with my family for at least the first 6 months, because that's when we're bonding and training, and she's learning how to do her job. So that first 6 months was crucial. And then in the time after that, it took me approximately 3 years to slowly integrate her into the house. And now when I come home at the end of shift, she comes in the house with me. She'll interact with my family. She hangs out in the kitchen while we're prepping supper like any other dog. She lays down on her dog bed and sleeps. She's comfortable. She turns that work switch off. Now,
that took some time to get to that point.
Yeah, it took a lot of time. It took, at least 3 years.
Visit us online to tell us your dog stories for possible inclusion in future episodes. And don't forget to share photos of your canine friends on social media with the hashtag NSK9.
Oh, the best part is the lifestyle. So it's when you receive this dog as a partner, it's not just a job change, it's a lifestyle change. It can add stress to your life, but it's also a very rewarding lifestyle. You get to bring your partner home, you get to enjoy them at home, take them to work with you, and enjoy everything at work. I have more freedom at work to do just the training that I do every day. It's just fun to go to work every day and train a dog. And that's what we do. We go to work every day to train until the real call comes in. And when the real call comes in for the dog, it's just another training rep.
Hicks wasn't supposed to live, but a life-saving surgery at the PEI Vet College saved this dog's life. 7 years later, Hicks returns to PEI for his annual checkup and some ice cream. That's next time on NSK9.
It's hard to believe 7 years has passed. You know, when I look at it and I go, how old is Hicks? And you know, somebody says, oh, he's a puppy. I'm like, no, he's 7. And it's really hard to remember how bad it was 7 years ago, because he does seem so healthy. But when I look back at the videos and the pictures from that time, I realize how much we've gone through with him.